A concentração de gases do efeito estufa atingiram níveis recordes em 2024. De janeiro a agosto, 2025 ficou mais de 1 grau acima da média do período pré-industrial. O ano de 2025 está no caminho para se tornar um dos anos mais quentes da história.
We have records going back more than 100 years, so some of our datasets, global datasets, go back 176 years. So we have a good long record to monitor the temperature, and the information we provide is the global average of the near-surface air temperature. Regionally, we're seeing much larger changes in some regions, in particular over land. The land is warming more than over the ocean, and the high latitudes are warming more, so the Arctic is seeing much larger warming than that global average, so the 1.42 for this year. So there's a lot of regional detail. We're seeing an increase in heat waves, the severity of the heat waves, and that has major impacts on crops, human health, all parts of society.
O alerta foi publicado pela Organização Mundial de Meteorologia da ONU em um relatório que atualiza as condições do clima em 2025 para a COP30. Além do aquecimento global, o documento aponta ainda que os eventos climáticos estão ficando cada vez mais severos.
We are seeing changes in these extreme events. So the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, conducts major assessments every 5 to 9 years. And so in those assessments, they are seeing changes in the extremes. So you've listed extremes of droughts and floods, for example, and the same with temperature, so heat waves and cold waves. So yes, we are seeing changes in those, but it is very complicated because those extremes happen at different places, at different seasons, as you said, in your region. So that is a complicated picture, but yes, there is growing evidence that the extremes are changing.
Em entrevista concedida à TV Claré, o diretor de Serviços Climáticos da OMM, agência ligada à ONU, ressaltou que, ainda que difícil, é possível revertermos algumas mudanças climáticas.
In terms of temperature, we can reverse the warming. So it is possible, but of course it is very difficult. So the greenhouse gas concentrations are continuing to rise, and those are largely what's driving the long-term warming. So if we can reduce the concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, we will be able to slow down, then eventually turn that warming around and so reduce the warming. So it is possible to limit the warming. The warming then impacts other parts of the Earth system. So for example, the oceans are warming. And so if we stop warming the atmosphere, we can then start to stop warming the oceans. Warming the atmosphere melts the frozen parts of the planet, so the glaciers, the sea ice, for example, and so we're seeing those are melting at the moment, and if we can reduce the warming, those will melt less. But there are other parts of the system where people talk about tipping points, and there are some, this is a very active area of research, there are some parts of the climate system where, yes, if we go beyond a certain threshold, that could be very difficult to reverse, and perhaps even not possible to reverse.
E não são apenas os governantes que podem ter ações para conter as mudanças climáticas. A sociedade também é parte importante da mudança.
We can all do something, and it's not just about the climate, it's the environment as well. So the climate, the warming, for example, is a key part, but we can all do something to preserve the environment. So I'm very much involved in the climate aspect. And a lot of these measures that we're talking about to reduce the warming, so reduce the greenhouse gas concentration in the atmosphere, they have other positive effects as well, so improved air quality, for example. And so we can all play our part. We might feel insignificant as individuals or communities, but that's not true. We're all part of the global family, and we can all do something to help with the broader environment, as you say, as well as the climate.